What's going on, YouTube? So when it rains, it pours. And for the last few years, it has been pouring down new mid-size trucks.
And we just spent the last week with this new Ford Ranger, which is bringing many nice elements from the F-150, including its V6, to a lower price point.
So, should you buy one of the last V6 mid-size trucks over the stiff competition? Well, let's go ahead and find out. All right, let's go ahead and start out under the hood. Now, you heard us say in the introduction, this is one of the last mid-size trucks that has an available V6 engine, and that is what we have today on board. This is the 2.7-liter twin turbocharged V6 engine, making 315 horsepower. That's going to be paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission, and our combined fuel economy is 20 mpg.
Now, the base price for the Ranger this year is around $33,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, this is also a 7-day review, so in our 7-day reviews, we'll be discussing a few special elements, including our real-world fuel economy after living with it for the past week. We'll be getting our official Kentucky sound level reading, and at the end, we'll discuss if we like it better, the same, or worse after living with it this week.
But before we do any of that, let's go ahead and close up the hood because we need to take a look at the exterior as well as the interior. So getting started with the exterior design, this is a new generation of the Ranger. It's not the first model year this has been available, but it is our first time reviewing this next generation model. And of course, it does have a fully modernized design on board. Now, there's going to be several different trim levels available. Each one of those will slightly tweak the overall design, and then you can customize it from there as well. For instance, today's XLT model does have the chrome appearance package up here in the front, and new for 2025 model year, you can now get a black appearance package as well. Now, moving over to our headlights, we're going to see full LED reflector headlights as standard equipment. If you choose the Lariat trim level or the Raptor, that's going to update you to projector LED headlights. And you do have that incandescent turn signal indicator right there. Also, all but the base model will come with these LED fog lamps, and these also double as cornering lamps. And then while I'm squatted down here, I want to go out and mention you have quite a bit of ground clearance on board. Actually, with the 4x4 model, you have a standard 9.3 inches of ground clearance. And then as we move around to the back, you'll continue to see kind of a junior F-150 design.
Yeah, I think it looks quite handsome overall, and I'm going to have Drew go ahead and hop inside so we can see if all the taillight elements are LED. That's something we do in all of our Car Confections reviews. Before we get to that, I do want to point out Ranger is stamped in your tailgate, as typical with a lot of trucks, and the taillights themselves, as you can see, we have an LED brake light portion. It's an incandescent turn signal and incandescent reverse light, though, so keep that in mind. 1 out of 3 elements are LED. Now, as we drop down to the lower fascia, it's going to be a mixture of chrome for this model as well as some matte black. Your tow rating is actually really good for a mid-size truck, 7,500 pounds as a maximum. That is about 200 pounds less than a Chevy Colorado, for instance, though. Now, past the towing capacity, it's a truck after all, so let's take a look at the bed. We do have a nicely dampened tailgate, no power ability or anything fancy like that, but as far as the bed itself is concerned, we do have just one configuration here on the Ranger. It's going to be a 5-foot bed back here. It's a good size for this segment, that's for sure, and as far as features are concerned, we do have the available spray-in bed liner. That's an option on this model, and the overall payload is about 1,800 pounds as a maximum. Off to the left side here, we also have a 12-volt outlet as well as a household outlet to power some of your tools and things along those lines. It's also a really nice and light tailgate, so you can really just, with one arm, easily fling it up. And as far as getting into the tailgate itself, we do have these available side steps, which actually makes getting into the bed really quite easy, especially if you have something loaded up more towards the front.
Now, moving on to the wheels, you're going to have a lot of different choices in terms of options. We have the 18-inch alloys here again, we have the chrome appearance package, so it's going to give it the chrome finish. It's certainly not my taste, but you've got a lot of different choices that you can get as well. We also have the FX4 package, so that's going to wrap this in a all-terrain tire instead for a little bit better off-road performance. Got your XLT badging up here. And then in terms of the mirrors, we do have a matte black finish with the XLT trim level. Blind spot monitoring and power folding are both included at the XLT trim level, but if you want heating, you do need to get the Lariat trim.
Now, as far as the overall truck length, it's about 210 inches long, and like I said at the bed, it is only available with a 5-foot bed. It's also only available in crew cab configuration as well. So what you see here today is what you're going to get here in the Ranger. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, you are going to get 2 of those as standard equipment on every single Ranger. If you move up to the XLT, you'll additionally add another feature, and then the Lariat will add adaptive cruise control as well. But guys, let's go ahead and check out the inside and our impressions after living with it this week. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. Now let's go ahead and check out the interior. First, I'll show you guys the key fob. As you can see, this is kind of the more basic key fob because Smart Entry is not on the XLT trim level. You actually need to get the Lariat trim level to unlock that feature. So you have the more basic switchblade key, but remote start is included on the XLT. Now, checking out the interior. Kind of like the exterior, you get this junior or mini F-150 design, and I think that's a pretty good thing overall. Now, before we get into individual details, though, we'll talk about the seats. So XL and XLT are going to come with a cloth seat. That's what we have. Leatherette is on the other 2 trim levels. This is an exclusive sandstone option. In terms of the color for the XLT. I like the light option. I like the details that they've put into the seats themselves, and they are quite comfortable. One thing to consider, though, is the fact that they're manually adjusting. You're going to have to upgrade if you want the 10-way power adjusting seats. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now, we do have some side steps to make getting in nice and easy, and the door shuts really solidly. Now let's look around at the overall cabin materials. This being the XLT, it is a mid-grade, so there's not going to be a ton of soft materials, but critical areas such as the armrest are covered in a leatherette with a nice padding. The rest of it is going to be hard touch. As we move to the upper dashboard, this is all hard touch. We have a textured plastic through the center section, a kind of a gray finish, shiny plastic through there, and some more textured plastic right through there. Down on the lower panels, it is also going to be hard touch, but everything in here does feel really nice and solidly put together. Now, you heard me say this doesn't have Smart Entry. That also means it doesn't have push-button start, which honestly is kind of a throwback. I haven't used a traditional key in a long, long time, but here we go. Almost forgot how to do it. And now that we're all fired up here, let's jump in with the gauge cluster. As you can see, we've got a digital cluster on board. This is an 8-inch cluster. It's what comes as standard equipment. You can get a larger 12-inch cluster if you go for the Lariat trim level, but overall, it's nice graphics on board and it is reconfigurable. As we pull back to the steering wheel, we've got a nice leatherette wrapped one. It is manual tilt and telescoping. Heating is going to be standard on the Lariat trim level. Let's also get into interior storage. So we'll open up our center console. First of all, you're going to see it's loaded down with donuts. That's because at Car Confections, we put the stuffed donuts inside to check the volume and compare. Well, this fits in 14 donuts. Pretty good. This is actually surprisingly deep once you actually open it up. You still have 2 cup holders as well, and a nice storage cubby up here in the front. As you can see, this left-hand side is also a wireless phone charging pad. And you've got this really nice storage shelf across the top there, giving you that extra flexibility. Now, coming back to the shifter, nice traditional style shifter. I'm just going to pull back for drive. You can activate manual mode and shift with these little toggles, but no paddle shifters, of course. And then when we go into reverse, you're going to see either a traditional backup camera or the 360-degree camera system. So on the XLT, this is part of the technology package. It is also standard on the Lariat trim level. And it gives you that back view, of course, but you also get the nice overhead view. Even mid-sized trucks these days are still pretty large, so having the 360 camera is going to help you maneuver it, as well as do things like hook up a trailer. And then you've got an electronic parking brake behind that. You also notice some drive mode controls, also a button to defeat your auto start stop system, and this is where you can adjust your four-wheel drive system. Now, as we move on from that, the next place we come to is kind of this central display area. Before I talk about the display itself, we'll talk about the climate controls, which are kind of partially integrated into the bottom part of the display, but still have manual knobs. So that's definitely good. With gloves and stuff, you can still reach over here and grab the physical knobs. Now, this is actually a manual climate control system. You have to get the lariat to get the dual zone climate, but adjustment still nice and simple, and you can, do it in both the display if you want to as well. And then right in the center here, we've got a volume knob for the audio system. So this has got the standard 6-speaker sound system. A Bang & Olufsen system is available as well on your higher end models. But let's go ahead and give the standard one a sample. Okay, overall sound quality is pretty good. Definitely fills up the cabin nicely and has a pretty good amount of bass. All right, now kind of zeroing in on the main display itself. This is a 10-inch display. This is what you get as standard equipment. You get an upsized 12-inch display if you choose the Lariat or the Raptor trim levels. And by the way, I just want to point out, as you could probably pick up on with this interior tour, you get a lot of extra things by choosing the Lariat trim, and the price discrepancy between what we have today and that is not really all that big. So I definitely would look into getting the Lariat trim level if you can spend a little bit more, because this XLT is obviously on the more basic side of things. Nevertheless, as far as the technology itself, it does have the sync system. It works quite nicely. You have good features, including a built-in navigation system since we have the tech package. We also have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities on board. And before I move on from this area, I also want to mention that heated seats come on the Lariat trim level. We don't have them. Ventilated seats are not available on any Ranger. Up top here, we've got an auto-dimming mirror. You'll find some LED interior lighting, but one thing you won't find on any Ranger is, strangely, a sunroof.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the rear seat area for the Ranger. Now, like we said at the side of the video, this is crew cab exclusive, so this is going to be what every Ranger looks like, and I'm happy to tell you it's actually a pretty nice place to spend time. So let's go ahead and talk about those space figures. We're sitting at about 35 inches of leg room and about 39 inches of headroom. Those are actually quite good space figures. It's bigger than some of the rivals. And by the way, if you want to learn about all the rivals that you might be able to cross-shop this Ranger with, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, the reason you do that is because on our website, we have gone through all the midsize and compact trucks that you could be looking at in this price point, and we've ranked them, as well as have a tool on the website that will allow you to sort based on the categories that matter most to you, if that's off-road capability, if it's power, if it's overall space. Those are all things that you can find the best trucks for you. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. Now, back to the space figures. Pretty good overall. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". I'm 5'9", for instance, and we are sitting at about 8 inches of additional knee room. My feet can also slide easily up underneath of the seat, and the seats themselves, while they are definitely on the firmer side as far as the cushioning is concerned, it's not too uncomfortable. And then we have this nice fold-down armrest with 2 cup holders inside. Additionally, the rear window is manual opening. That's going to be included here on the XLT trim level. If you choose the Lariat, that will actually add the power functionality to that. As far as other features are concerned, as you can see, we do have a big storage cubby, which is perfect for a roll of toilet paper when your allergies are bothering you and you still need to film a car review. And down here at the bottom, we have a USB-C port, a USB-A port, and even a household style outlet, so that's pretty nice. Over on the door trim, We have a hard touch upper part as well as all this intersection. However, the armrest will be nicely padded. And then down at the very bottom, we have quite a bit of door storage. And I do want to point out that the seats do fold up to maximize your utility. You just pull that little strap there. You have a little bit of extra space underneath of the seat. I do want to point out, though, it does fold up in just one piece, so you wouldn't be able to have, someone sitting back there with one of the seats folded up, so that's a little disappointing. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2025 Ford Ranger. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be talking about our Kentucky sound level reading, as well as our real-world fuel economy after 7 days. Let's go ahead and start, though, with the hard acceleration.
All right. 60, just like that, with the 2.7 liter twin turbocharged V6 engine. So of course we talked about it a little bit at the spec dump, but V6s are becoming a rarity in this segment. It's one of the ways that this Ranger gets to stand out against those rivals is because it does have that available V6 engine. Now, standard on the Ranger is still a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, but having this 2.7 liter twin turbo V6 dials up the power quite a bit, takes you to 315 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. This is very close to just being exactly the same as what you have straight out of the F-150.
Yeah, this thing is really quick. That's one of the very first things that we noticed after they drop it off for the 7-day loan was, oh my goodness, this thing is really, really fast. 400 pound-feet of torque is a ton, and it's definitely going to be a pretty significant upgrade over the standard 2.3 liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder. That makes 270 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque, so that's not like weak by any stretch of the imagination, but it is going to be significantly less powerful than this. Also, the thing I do want to point out about the V6 that, the other rivals like the Toyota Tacoma, the Chevy Colorado, GMC Canyon can't say is it has a really nice smooth refinement to it. So even under hard acceleration, it doesn't sound strained.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely is just a smooth and refined V6 overall. Now, as far as the other element of the powertrain, we've got a 10-speed automatic transmission. That's going to be on board regardless of which of the engine choices you pick. This transmission, most of the time, is very nice and smooth. It has a lot of gears, but it doesn't really get too confused, except for the one little caveat is just when you have like a rolling start. Occasionally there's been like a hesitation that we've experienced this week. Obviously, there's a lot of gears to choose from. It is a 10-speed automatic, but by and large, it is mostly very smooth.
Yeah. As far as how power is routed to the ground, you do have standard two-wheel drive or available four-wheel drive. That's what we have on today's model. Also, if you choose the Raptor, you will also have standard four-wheel drive. Now, as we drive by one of this vehicle's chief competitors, the Colorado, that reminds me to go ahead and discuss ride quality. So, after spending 7 days with it, we've had plenty of seat time to figure this out. Overall ride quality it's okay. This is a body-on-frame mid-sized truck, so the thing to keep in mind about those types of vehicles is that, of course, they don't have the very best ride quality. You're definitely going to know that you're in a body-on-frame truck in the sense of you have quite a lot of little vibrations that enter into the cabin. A lot of you guys might not mind that because you're coming from another mid-sized truck just like that. Definitely compared to like a Maverick, though, that would have a lot better ride quality. The other thing I do want to point out is that we have the FX4 package, which is kind of like your off-roady package, and I honestly think that might harm your ride quality overall because we have pretty small wheels outside, and when you hit a large bump in the road, such as this bridge abutment that we're about to go over, you can definitely feel quite a bit of that intrusion inside the cabin. So this isn't going to be like the smoothest riding truck out there, that's for sure. Definitely the Tacoma with the adaptive dampers would be a lot better, but I'm certain you can probably get a different trim level, different option package model that has better ride than this one. Alrighty, and we are about to speed up to 55 miles per hour, and once we speed up there, we'll go ahead and get our sound level reading. I'm going to go ahead and make sure we are toggled to fan speed 1. There we go. We'll see how quiet it is. 58.3 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading here for the 2025 Ford Ranger. We don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to other vehicles in the segment. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. Now, as far as how that compares to some of the rivals, that will definitely be a little bit on the louder end, and I'm not surprised by that sound level reading. The reason I say that is, once more, we have the FX4 package, which adds those beefy tires on the outside, and I certainly can hear a lot of that entering into the cabin. I think if you went for a more street-focused, non-FX4 model, that sound level reading would come down quite a lot because there's a lot of howl that come in from these tires.
Now, obviously, on-street driving performance is not really what anyone is looking for in the midsize truck segment, but I do want to mention real quickly just the fact that it's a pretty maneuverable truck. One of the things that we observed is that the steering is very responsive, right off center, and overall it does make it nice and easy to drive even on a back road.
Yeah. And let's go ahead and get into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball, which is our favorite and least favorite element about the Ranger. Drew, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the Slam Dunk?
Yeah, for the Slam Dunk, we're going to say, of course, that V6 engine. We've been talking a lot about it, but, being able to get something that has quite a lot of power, and most importantly, I think the refinement gives you a more traditional truck experience.
Yeah. On the Airball side of things, what we're going to say is the price. And I also will just mention the price on this one specifically is pretty eye-watering for the amount of equipment that you're going to get. We're sitting at around $48,000, and we have no heated seats, no heated steering wheel, no moonroof, no upgraded audio system, twist key. It feels like a very basic truck in here, but it doesn't carry a very basic truck price. So I certainly would recommend getting some different options than what we have on today's example, or just, if you're going to spend this much, just go ahead and get the Lariat trim level. That would make a lot more sense to me. But just keep that in mind. The price is not going to be cheap by any stretch of the imagination.
No, certainly not. And this is what we've been calling this week, respectfully, Grandpa Spec.
All right, and let's get into our fuel economy for the V6 Ranger. Now, you might really expect this area to suffer a lot because it's a V6 instead of a Turbo 4. The answer to that is actually not really, because the EPA is rating at 1923.20 miles per gallon combined. Is that worse than some of the Turbo 4-cylinder rivals? Yes. However, it's really not by a significant margin at all. And as a matter of fact, if you choose the Turbo 4 version of the Ranger, it only goes up to 22 mpg, according to the EPA. Now, what's our real-world experience? Well, at the time of filming this video, we do still have a little bit longer of driving this vehicle for the week to get our full, tank of gas or full sample size. So we're going to wait just a little bit longer to show you those numbers, and we'll put that on the screen right now. Our early indications is very much looking like this will meet the EPA estimate of 20 mpg. All the trips that I was doing, I think we've driven at about 100 miles at the time of us filming this video. We're sitting in right around that 20 mpg mark, which I think is not bad fuel economy at all for this V6 version. But it's a 7-day review, and we did promise to tell you if we like it better, the same, or worse after living with it for this week. I think I speak for both Drew and I in determining that we did like this Ranger a little bit worse than what we were expecting. I do really like certain elements about this vehicle. The V6 certainly is one of those things. However, this particular spec here, not really my taste at all. And then also the ride quality was a big area that I was quite disappointed with on this specific example. So that's just something to keep in mind, especially if you're, cross-shopping with, Tacoma, Colorado, Canyon. There's really a lot of stiff competition in this segment. So that's just something to keep in mind altogether. Now, as I said at the very beginning of this video, the Ranger does start at $33,000 this year. That's with two-wheel drive and the XL trim level. Now, if you want the XLT, this one starts at $36,000. The Lariat is $43,700. Do keep in mind four-wheel drive's an additional cost option. If you want one as spec'd like what we have today, we are sitting at just a hair under $48,000 for this Ranger with several of the options. As Drew said at the interior part, I would definitely recommend, if you're going to spend this much on an XLT, probably just go ahead and upgrade to the Lariat trim level, because that's going to include a lot more features for the money. Now, if you're looking to buy a Ford Ranger or any new vehicle, we would also encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a truck is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Ford Ranger's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 48.8% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 20.96%. Now, it is worth noting that is definitely lower than some of the other rivals that you may be looking at, such as Toyota for the Tacoma, as well as other brands like GMC and Chevy. And it's ever so slightly below industry average for all vehicle brands.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several trustworthy sources on reliability and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. In this regard, Ford is rated below the overall industry average for all brands.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Also, when it comes to your warranty, you have a 3-year, 36,000-mile basic warranty, a powertrain warranty of 5 years and 60,000 miles, and no complimentary maintenance. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth 7-day review of this 2025 Ford Ranger. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel. I promise you won't want to miss out. And if you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.